Hello, everyone. Hello, good afternoon, good day. So glad to be joining you all on today. All right. So, for those of you who do not know who I am, or even if you do, my name is Lepora Lindsay, and I am a keynote speaker and a professional development workshop facilitator. One of the things I'm absolutely passionate about is helping individuals to understand how the value that they share in the workplace, how that really does impact the team, the department, or the organization as a whole. One of the reasons why I am so passionate about this is just because in the 17 years that I've been a military spouse, there has been so many different professional development opportunities where I questioned the value that I brought to the table. I questioned how I was able to impact, especially when there's a short amount of time and I don't have the 2, 3 years or whatever that time may be. So I definitely think that it's something that is needed as I've started having more conversations, realizing that learning how learning how to number one separate our personal value from our workplace value and then understanding how can we demonstrate that workplace value is so very important. So I go live every Sunday at 5:30 Central Time, and it's only for 15 minutes. Only 15 minutes, y'all. I am a short-winded person, and I just want to make sure that you have a little quick nugget to take along with you along the way. So it's only 15 minutes. And y'all, we already have been talking for 3 minutes. So we got to get to it. So if you missed last week's live stream, one of the things that, or the core of what I was speaking about was essentially when we're in the workplace and let's say, we are trying to bring our workplace value by meeting the needs of 10, 15 people in the workplace. What does that boil down to? Well, that could be really stressing. And so we talked about how to be intentional and strategic about bringing that workplace value. So if you missed that live stream, be sure to check in and catch that one a little bit later. All right, y'all. So, I want to share a little story with you because today we are talking about confidence. And the title is that confidence comes last. And here's what comes first. And you're probably wondering, what is it? What comes first? And maybe you're not wondering. You just like, just get to the point. Okay. So, here we go. So, it was early on in my career. I had one particular job and I was volunteering for a lot of different tasks because I was really wanting to demonstrate just how useful I could be and just how impactful I could be. And I don't know how many of you have been in that situation where you got a limited clock, you got a limited time, and you got to, get it done. And that's essentially what happened. But there was this all hands meeting that was going on at the time. And myself, some coworkers, we were all really disgruntled. We weren't feeling the situation, and it came an opportunity for us to express that. And I'm like, okay, so who gonna say something? Just who gonna say something? I'm just gonna sit back and who gonna say something? Nobody said anything. So I was like, well, I'm gonna say something. So I ended up speaking up about the situation, and it was quiet. And it felt like 3 days, but of course it wasn't that long. Just a few minutes later, then someone else ended up speaking up and they confirmed what I said. And so I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. And that was just one of those situations where I wasn't confident when I said it. And most likely, how I articulated it or what I shared, it wasn't as as professional or as exact or as perfect as I wanted it to be. But I got it out there. So I'll come back to that story in just a minute. But the other thing that I've been doing more recently is that I've been going to the gym. Yep, I've been going to the gym, y'all. And let me tell you, for you gym goers, it is a lot of hard work. Recently decided to make some, life health changes, but going into some of those classes, y'all, I was nervous. I'm like, are they going to be judging me like lifting weights? Like, what in the world? And now I'm feeling like I'm the boss. Like I can do this. So I share both of those examples. One more workplace driven, more one is a little bit less than that. Because a lot of times when we think about confidence, we think that it is a prerequisite to completing an action. I need to be confident in order to speak up. I need to be confident in order to lead. I need to be confident in order to volunteer for this project. But we don't need to be confident. We need to take action because confidence is a byproduct of that action. Once we complete the action, we will start to trust ourselves more. So, why do we get it backwards? Why do we feel like we need confidence first in order to take action? Well, there's a few reasons why this is the case. This is the case many times because think about how when we are in grade school or in college or whatever the case may be, before we take a test, before we apply for a certification, before we get that first job, like an internship or whatever that case may be, many times it is a requirement for us to pass a test, to fill out some type of prerequisite. And essentially, that is establishing the mindset of, I need to be ready before I take this step. But here's the thing, y'all, that is specifically for a classroom setting. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't learn in the workplace because we absolutely can learn in the workplace, but we are not taking physical, well, some of you might be, but we are not, for a whole part, not taking physical test on, I need to pass this test in order to speak up. I need to pass this test in order to be a leader. Like none of that. And so we get in our minds that we have to be ready before before we take action when really that's not the case. Now, I don't think I said this today, but I have shared this before. At any point, if any of you have any questions or any insights or anything you would like to share, feel free to put it in the chat. Sometimes I'm able to see it, sometimes I'm not. It really just depends, but I would love to hear from you. Oh, and look at that. We have somebody here. EJ, love your point about taking action you believe in. Yes, even when you don't feel 100% confidence. Great share, Lepore. Yes, absolutely, EJ. That's what it's about. We're not going to always have that confidence, right? It's a byproduct. So let's get that action done. Thank you so much for commenting. And y'all, even if you watch the replay, feel free to comment. I hope I see it, but if I don't, just know that I will come back to it after I'm logged out here. So I kind of shared those two stories about not having the confidence first, because there is no way I had confidence walking into the gym lifting weights. And there's no way I had confidence, especially being on board at a company. I think at this one, I was on board maybe 6 months and already speaking up about the things that we don't like. So, how do we go from recognizing now that it is something that is backwards, we feel like we need that confidence first, to taking action? Well, I posted earlier this week about social learning theory, and I won't get too into the weeds with it. I don't want to drift too far away, but with that, Albert Bandura's social learning theory, and he has some building blocks. He calls it self-efficacy, but for the sake of simplicity, I will sum it up as being the action that's needed, us believing in ourselves. That's what I will sum it up as being before we take action. And he mentioned that there are three primary building blocks. They don't have to come in any particular order. It just, they need to be in the mix. And that first one, or I shouldn't say that first one, but one of them is mastering the experience. And this basically means getting it done. It means getting it done, y'all, taking the action. And it doesn't matter if you succeed, it doesn't matter if you fail, you have to take action. Now, if any of you have attended my workshops, you know the framework that I use very often, the ACT framework, right? Because you have to take action. You have to. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is vicarious learning. And so this is essentially observational learning. We learn by looking at other people take an action and seeing what happens to them. So essentially that positive reinforcement. And then we have verbal encouragement. And the verbal encouragement is essentially us hearing from someone else that we're doing a good job and that particular action that we don't necessarily know if we can do, but we tried it, someone is saying, hey, you did a good job at that. So let's tie this into the workplace application, and let's use the story that I used early on so we can see what the social learning theory looks like and what it looks like to take action before we have confidence. So that first part is the mastery of experiences. I was in the job 6 months and I'm saying, you know what? I'm just going to speak up and see what happens. This is the amazing part about that. It doesn't matter if you do well or not. After the fact, you say, I did it. I did it. I did it. I got it done. The other part of that vicarious learning or the observational learning, this part is also amazing because we learn from others, but in turn, others learn from us. So as I shared what was going on, other people shared. That then reinforced, hey, I can maybe share a little bit more. So when I'm talking about or sharing information about how can we bring value to the workplace and how can we be individuals that can influence, not just influence upward, but influence our peers. And many times it comes from modeling that action and them seeing either one, the results that you gain from it, or two, them seeing the attitude that you have from it. So this isn't something that requires you to be in a role that is of significant visibility. This isn't something that requires you to be in the role for a significant amount of time. It is only something that requires you to take action and to model that behavior or that attitude, and other people will start to pick up on that as well. And then that last part is the engagement piece. And once again, y'all, this is something that everyone can do. Not engagement piece, that encouragement piece. My apologies there. So with that, this is about seeing if you see someone do something and they're doing a good job, especially right then and in that moment where they are, letting them know that, encouraging them, letting them know that you see that. Because this social learning theory, it tells us that these three combination of things, it's what we typically use in order to take action before the confidence happens. And this is something that each and every one of us has the ability to do. This is something that each and every one of us has access to. And so with that in mind, checking the chat here, don't see any more comments or questions here, but you can feel free to ask them. So with that in mind, here is my challenge for you. I want you to pick a task this week that potentially challenges you, that stretches you. Model that. Do it. Don't be concerned about the consequences of, well, wait a minute, hold on. Before I say that, it must be legal. Legal. Take a legal action. And don't be concerned about what's going to happen, whether someone will say anything, right? Just give it a try. Or you can encourage someone that you see taking an action, because all of those things, it's what is going to give us the continuous confidence that we need in order to grow. And I will end on this as our time is approaching here. I started a little late, but still want to end on that 15-minute mark as much as possible. Confidence is a muscle. It is not something that we are born with and that we have all of our lives. We have it in different areas where sometimes we believe and sometimes we don't, but the more we act on something specifically, that's when that confidence really starts to show up. So if you find yourself wavering in that confidence, maybe it's time to start taking more action in that particular area. All right, y'all. So this is my time here this week. I truly hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions throughout the weekday, feel free to send me a message. Feel free to check out my website. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to me, you can send me an email. I'm pretty accessible. I mean, I may not respond immediately, right? But you can certainly reach me there. And I just want you all to remember to stay adding value. And specifically this week, just remember to look at that challenge of either taking the action, that challenge of encouraging someone else who has taken that action, because all of those things are opportunities for us to influence the workplace. All right. Y'all have a great one.